Alright, how's it going everyone? Today we're going to be testing out the 4 Alexandrian origins, and the first one we're going to start with is the Shroomling. The Shroomlings share a lot in common with Inchlings, so if you like the Inchlings, you might like the Shroomling. They're also very, very tiny, similar to the Inchlings, and they can climb up the side of blocks just like the Inchling can. If you didn't know, Inchlings can't actually jump an entire block, they're forced to climb up the side of them, and the Shroomling can do that, but they can also just jump it if they want to. The Shroomlings are vegetarian, which means they can't eat any meat at all, and all they can eat is vegetables. Meat is easier to come by in the early game, but it's a little more difficult in the end game, so this isn't really a positive or a negative. The Shroomling is interesting because the effects of the Shroomling change during the cycles of the day. During the sun time, or during the daytime, you are fragile to sunlight, being in general weaker, and I'll show you what those debuffs are. And then when it's nighttime, you get positive effects. So it's daytime right now, sun is shining nice and high, we're at weakness 2 and slowness 2, so we are just debuffed during the day, and if we set it to nighttime, we can see the buffs completely changed. We have speed 2, we have strength, we have resistance and regeneration. Naturally, the Shroomling's default biome is the mushroom biome, so when you stand on top of mycelium, you get a bunch of extra buffs. So we know weakness and slowness are because of the daytime, so you can ignore those, but when you're on mycelium, you get jump boost 2, speed 2, and regeneration. So basically, if it's the daytime and you're on mycelium, the speed 2 and slowness 2 pretty much cancel out. You get constant regeneration and jump boost, so it really goes to show that staying in the mycelium biomes or the mushroom biomes are really, really beneficial for the Shroomling. Shroomlings take extra damage from fire, and if you stay in it for too long, you get blindness. Just like this. Not only does the Shroomling take double damage from fire, but they actually can get withered by staying in it for too long. Here's a neat little trick that it doesn't say on the Shroomling description. If you go into water, you actually get rid of all of your debuffs from the daytime. You have speed 2, strength, resistance, and regeneration. The last interesting ability of the Shroomling is called Mushroom Bite, and this basically lets you poison an enemy if you're holding down the ability key and you punch them. That's basically what the poison effect looks like. The next origin we're going to look at is the Frogling. The Frogling are an amphibious origin, which means they're just as good underwater as they are on land. In fact, Froglings are slightly better underwater than they are on land. As you can see, while I'm underwater, I get a bunch of really awesome buffs, but let's take a look and see what happens when I go on land. While on land, the frog still has jump boost and dolphin's grace, but they also have weakness and slowness. This makes them slightly more of an aquatic-based origin, but they're still plenty good on land. As you can see, frogs can stay on land and underwater because they have perfect breathing on land and perfect breathing underwater. Frogs are also even more weak in hot biomes like deserts, mesas, and savannas, and even the nether. One of the main draws to the Frogling origin is their primary ability, which is their jump. Now, to activate this ability, your feet have to be on the ground, or you can be in the water, but it basically lets you launch a pretty decent distance into the air. You can use this underwater with Dolphin's Grace to go super fast and travel really, really far in a short amount of time. Understandably, the Frogling loves lily pads, and when you're on top of lily pads, you get constant regeneration. Let's move on to the next origin, the Chameleon. The Chameleon is sort of a sneaky forest-based origin. They can climb trees and other flat surfaces just by walking up to them. The Chameleon can only eat meat, they cannot eat vegetables. Your hunger will empty faster because the Chameleon exhausts faster than other origins. Kind of the opposite of the Frogling, the Chameleon really dislikes cold places such as tundras, snowy biomes, mountains, and cold oceans. The Chameleon is also somewhere between the Inchling and the human in terms of size. They're a little bit over 1 block tall, so if you don't like the Inchling or maybe the Shroomling point of view, the Chameleon might be the right choice for you. The Chameleon's primary ability is kind of similar to the Frogling's. It's a really quick dash across a flat surface where your feet have to be firmly placed on the ground, and it's really hard to get altitude with it. As you can see, it's just kind of like a little hop. The Chameleon also has a really interesting secondary ability. When you press the secondary ability button, you become invisible and get an insane burst of speed for a short amount of time. The cooldown is pretty long, but you can get around somewhere quickly and escape from danger very, very conveniently. No matter how dark an area is, the Chameleon can always see very well in dark places. Also, as an added bonus, the Chameleon does not take any fall damage. The very last origin we're going to be looking at today is the Axolotl. Now, I'm not going to go super in-depth because it shares a lot of stuff with aquatic-based origins like the Merling. For example, it has gills, it can breathe underwater, wet eyes, your vision underwater is perfect. They don't sink underwater, they can break blocks underwater, fins. However, where it differs is it has a large appetite, which means it exhausts its hunger much faster than, say, a Merling would, and it can also only eat meat, you can't eat vegetables. With an aquatic-based origin like this, it means you're pretty much only going to be eating fish. The axolotls are tiny, not as small as an inchling, but a little bit shorter than a chameleon. They're about 1 block tall. The axolotl also have the thorn ability, which means they project a small amount of damage back at their attackers if they're hit. The thing that makes the axolotl really interesting is they have an ability called Play Dead. When you press your secondary key, you pretty much play dead, and there's not much you can do, you can't really move around, all you can do is really regenerate during this time. So this is what you look like when you're playing dead. You can regenerate some HP, but you basically turn invisible or you look dead to your enemies for a short amount of time, so you can turn a corner while you're escaping from someone, play dead, and they might pass right by you. Anyway, that is my short review of the Alexandrian origins. If you wish to download these, you can add them to your data packs for a single-player world or your server. Links will be in the description, and if you'd like to talk with the mod author, they're in my Discord. My Discord is constantly coming up with new origins every week, so I hope to continue this series as often as I possibly can. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.